let's discuss why I'm not in the social justice warrior, pro-black, black conscious community, Black Lives Matter. Let's just discuss it, okay? I used to be very involved with activism, social justice, inclusion work, right? Community organizing, volunteering, civic engagement. That used to be my focus. It used to literally be my life. My whole life was evolved around it, okay? And it really, first of all, being pro-black and Pan-Africanist and in the black conscious community or the woke community, I started off on that, I would say between 2011 and in 2011, that's when I was really involved on the social media and the YouTube aspect of it. My original channel, oh my gosh, my original YouTube channel was Gia Ireland. That was the channel. And on there, you know, I was talking about a lot of pro-black conscious stuff, you know? And at the time, the big focus was on the black gender war. Everybody was on it, you know, black men versus black women versus black men, the gender war, right? Which really was just a battle, the sexes, basically. Niggas ain't shit, bitches ain't shit. That was the memo, and that's what everybody was making videos about. Okay, and then you also have folks that were talking about black liberation, same old, as I talked about in the Dr. Umar video. A bunch of talking points and very little action. I mean, because essentially it was just a bunch of people speaking their minds and speaking their opinions in video format. But I quickly realized that that was detrimental because my videos were getting flagged, my channel was getting copyright strikes, and I would go on situations where it would get flagged so badly that I would be suspended from making videos for 2 weeks. And then I ended up losing my channel because I received so many flags. I think it's 3 flags and then you completely lose your account, right? So I had went from, okay, 2 week suspension to losing my AdSense to my channel being permanently deleted in the beginning of 2013. It was literally January 2013. Okay, which is why I had to create the Vordeer 92 channel, which still exists. I just don't really upload much. I don't know if I ever will. I don't really see the point of it anymore, being honest. So that's that. So that was a whole fiasco. Okay. Then in 2013, 2013 summer, July of 2013 to be exact, I was in college, you know, undergrad. I was just finished junior year and I was getting ready to be a senior, and I joined the Black Student Union at the university that I was attending. And I met people, met some folks that I thought were mentors to me, and I met people that I thought were friends to me, and you know, I got really involved. I mean, in our own city, right? I'm from Flint, Michigan, so in our own city and in our own state of Michigan, we were marching, protesting, rallying, doing sit-ins, doing die-ins. We were having educational meetings where we would learn about our history, our culture, religion, spirituality, mental health, sexual health. We were very inclusive. And that's when I really learned about diversity and inclusion, in the sense that we're different. And it's great that we're different. We should praise being different. You know, that is awesome. We have our own uniqueness, right? But then also we should be inclusive of each other within the Black community and get away from dividing and conquering and segregating and basically repeating white supremacist ideologies in blackface. So that's when I really started learning about sexism, classism, racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, you know, looking classism, all of this, ableism, all of this, and realizing how we're using tools of white supremacy in Black spaces to so-called push for equality and justice or liberation of Black bodies, and that doesn't even make any logical sense. You're not going to be able to use oppressive ideologies to free people. So I learned that, you know, and again, so from 2013 to 2018, that 5 years time span, I got off YouTube with talking about it as much and started doing the actual work in my community, in my state. So I was doing rallies, protests, sit-ins, volunteering, feeding people, giving people money, taking people, driving people around. I was just giving so much of myself, you know, and I felt like it was my duty, it was my calling, it was my responsibility. I owed it this much to my community, to the Black community, to people of color, to women, to LGBTQ+, to poor people, to working class people, to lower class people. Like, I just felt like it was my calling, it was my duty, it was my responsibility. It was the least I could do as a privileged individual. Which I'm gonna talk about privilege in another video as well, because it's like a lot of this stuff, it's kind of the reasons why I left, because I just started noticing how problematic and toxic, and then also like you're not really going anywhere, in my opinion. You're just repeating the same shit that previous generations did, and you would think, okay, if it didn't work for that generation, why are we continuing to do? But, you know, what can you say, right? So I got away from that because I was just kind of like, you know, this stuff doesn't really it's draining me. I quickly realized, particularly with the Black conscious community and the woke community and the Black community, we're hypocritical as hell. Like, we are very hypocritical. We'll say this and then do the exact opposite. The folks will scream and shout for Black liberation, but then turn around and be like, well, we don't want fags. And well, those bitches can sit because men first. And well, you know, we don't really want the ghetto niggas. So it's like, again, you're using white supremacy ideologies that are extremely oppressive in nature to liberate Black bodies. And then also I noticed this victim mentality where like literally every issue is victimhood to me. It's like, don't get me wrong, racism is real, classism is real, sexism is real, their oppression is real, privilege is real. But at the same time, you cannot sit up here and have this victim mentality 24/7. Everybody's out to get me. And when you have this victim mentality, you actually start believing that you did no wrong and you have no power and you basically have no role in your own subjugation, when in fact you do. Okay, like, because one of the other problems why I left is that we basically blame everybody for our shortcomings and our problems. There is no sense of accountability. And then when people talk about accountability, now you are the white supremacist. Now you are anti-Black. Now you are victim blaming, you know? And they use all these tactics to stop you from wanting accountability and responsibility in your own actions and in your own community. So I just couldn't get, because every time I would bring up something, well, you know, after 400 years of oppression, well, so basically there's always an excuse for why we can't move forward, which is why we're always on these damn talking. That's basically what it sounds like to me, which is why I had to leave. So from doing the Black Lives Matter activism, because I did a lot of that, you know, whether it was on social media or in the physical, you know, I did a lot of that on campus, off campus, in community, out of community. Like, when I say that was literally my life, that was literally my life. So after I did that, then I started getting more and more involved in the political sector with the Democratic Party, which I no longer identify as a Democrat, and I no longer care for the two-party system. Now, I'm not saying that I don't vote and I'm not aware of what's going on politically, socially, economically, from a global scale, because I still believe personally that voting does have some importance, but I see it as a tool. I don't see it as the answer. But anyways, I was getting involved in the political sector, particularly with the Democratic Party and the progressive liberal ideology, along with my Black Lives Matter, being woke, Pan-African, Black conscious community, being Black in the Black community, right? I'm thinking, well, as a Black person, as a person in the LGBTQ+ community, and as a young person, as a person who's college educated, as a person who has massive student loan debt, like, okay, the Democratic Party tends to line up with my my personal beliefs and my ideologies and what I believe in. So I'm gonna be with them. Plus my grandparents were Democrats, and I kind of grew up in a very active household in that sense, right? But I was doing that, and honestly, around 2016, it just became extremely my life, because at that time Bernie Sanders was a Democratic candidate for the Democratic nominee for president, and I really liked Bernie and his ideologies and what he had to say. So like I was going around doing voter registration, canvassing communities for Bernie Sanders, knocking on doors for Bernie Sanders. And then after he didn't get that win, I mean, we won the state of Michigan in the primaries, but of course Hillary Clinton ended up getting the actual Democratic nominee to be the president of the USA. And even though I didn't really care for Hillary Clinton, still don't care for Hillary Clinton, and honestly, I'm becoming extremely disillusioned with Bernie Sanders as well. But anyways, I still was knocking on doors and canvassing for Hillary Clinton, and from August through November of 2016. And then we lost that election, or the election was stolen from us, however you want to look at it. That was horrible. That was yet another blow to self-esteem and to credibility, you know, like. And then you just start learning that, you know, they're not really that different from each other. As much as we like to try to differentiate between Republicans and Democrats, as you grow and you experience shit and you learn, start realizing this is a game and you are just here to play the game, essentially. But anyways, so that was really heartbreaking, you know, seeing rights, people's lives being put on the fire, on the burner, because you've got like a blatantly closed-minded bigot as the president, or someone who appears to be closed-minded and bigoted, because who's to say, this is what I mean by it, as I started thinking about things, who's to say this is not all a distraction from real issues that we aren't even talking about, right? Who's to say that, right? But anyways, you got all that going on, and it's just kind of like, man, this is really horrible. I'm Black, I'm in the LGBTQ plus community, I'm in Flint, we don't have water, we don't have jobs, we have poverty, gentrification, environmental racism, classism, all this shit is happening right before your eyes. So we were really sad and depressed. Like, we had a candlelight vigil the day after the election. Like, that's just how it was, right? So some of you are gonna be like, you guys were some fucking snowflakes, it ain't that serious, you know. So I know, right? Various perspectives on this, okay? But anyways, so, and by the way, I'm editing the video while I'm shooting this video. So just, it was heartbreaking. Then we get into 2017. More protesting and rallies. I went to the Women's March in Washington, D.C. With a few people. And then I participated in that. That was history. You know, it was actually, what, over 3 million people who ended up showing up to this march and rally. And that was like, wow, you know, I was in history. Then it was like, damn, I wish I would have just came to Obama's inauguration. You know, in 2009 or 2013, I had 2 chances to go and didn't go. But then I came here for this Million Women's March, go figure. So then after that, I came back and I was still in school. Now, mind you, I have a master's degree. So I was finishing up my master's program. So 2017, winter semester was my last semester of grad school. So I was working on my thesis, but I was still like volunteering, civic engagement, protests, rallies, demonstrations, education, spirituality, learning all this stuff. Then I was also volunteering at a juvenile detention center. I was doing all these things, right, for community. And I was thinking, like, this is really gonna help. And don't get me wrong, some of the stuff that I was doing, some of the stuff that people are doing is very beneficial, and it is helping people. Whether it's small or minute, it's still helping folks. It's still bettering people, right? Because I do believe that you should look out for people, but within reason. You shouldn't get so sucked up into a cause that you completely lose yourself. You completely burn yourself out. You shouldn't get that caught up in it, because it's not that serious. in the long scheme of things. And I'm just going to go on to say it. We have way too much martyrdom. Martyrdom. Literally, we just get people who end up sacrificing their lives physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, like just whole sexually. You'd be surprised. You shouldn't get that involved in something that you don't know who you are and you no longer have time for yourself. Because that's how you get burnt out. That's how you get disillusioned. And that's how you get scammed and exploited and misused, which is most of the reasons why I'm no longer participating in this shit. Because I'm done. My personal health and my personal happiness is way more important. And I had to learn that through years of being in this movement. Then I ended up going to, in 2016, I went to NCORE, the National Conference on Race and Ethnicity. And then 2017, I went again with another group of people, but this time we were presenting our research. So we presented our research and everything. It was well received and that was awesome. Like sometimes I sit back and even forget I did accomplish a lot. Like I'm 26 and I have 4 college degrees and I traveled around, I presented research, and I've done research and studies. I've done things, but at the same time, I've lost myself. I burnt myself out in the process, and that is not cool. And then 2, when you burn yourself out, anytime you burn yourself out or you go through some real shit, that's when you really find out who's rocking with you and who's in your corner. And that's when you realize a lot of these people ain't thinking about you, man. I mean, the minute they get what they want out of you and they no longer can use you, you are no longer valuable. And that's what I had to learn about the Democratic Party, the Black conscious community, the woke community, the Black community. I mean, for the most part, you people are users, parasites. You want other people to do the work for you. You want other people to carry you, and then you're really
happen to be Black
you're really caught up in this victimhood shit, You don't want to have any type of accountability for your own actions and things that you say and do. And like you're comfortable with taking the blame, because my thing is, everything that we did, what did we truly accomplish? What is the end game? Again, shout out to, Lipsum, because he talks about this all the time. And when you really sit down and think about it, it's the truth. What is the end game? Because if all you're going to be doing is marching and rallying and protesting and doing sit-ins and, disobedience, hashtagging it up on social media, making videos talking about the same shit, it's just talking points decade after decade, century after century, and there's no real liberation, then what are we doing? Because I just got disillusioned with that. It's like, yeah, we need to talk about things. We need to have space for people to have dialogues and like really talk it out. Rather you agree or disagree, we need that space. But we also need to be doing this and other things. You can do more than one thing. So I just came very disillusioned. Then with the Democratic Party, 2018 was all that broke the camel's back. A lot of not only the Democratic Party in me, but social justice in me in general. Because I'm like, really what I started seeing is we are turning into the left version of the alt-right. Essentially, because now it's just echo chambers, of hearing things that you want to hear and being around people that you want to be around. And then pretty soon you completely forget there are people who disagree with you. There are people who don't see eye to eye to you. Like, everyone is not here to kiss your ass, okay? And that's what ends up happening with a lot of these movements, because you end up isolating yourself from the rest of the world. If they don't agree with you, if they don't see eye to eye with you, then you don't want to be friends with them. You don't want to talk to them. You don't want nothing to do with them, which is probably why we lost the election in the first place, because at the end of the day, you literally created them versus us mentality. And then that's when I really started learning, geez, neither of these political parties really give a damn about the people on Main Street such as you and me. So you gotta ask yourself, you've been voting for these political parties for 100 years or so, and y'all are in the same predicament.